Welcome everyone, this is Zozo Stock Watch, and let's get ready for the week ahead, September 4th to September 8th. Stocks edged higher Friday after the jobs report and odds of the Fed raising rates goes down. Biotechs were helped by mergers, Guild buying Kite, that lit the IBB. GLD, GDX, GDXJ all up on political tensions with North Korea. Stocks closed higher as the pace of hiring slowed, but feels like it's in the sweet spot. Wage growth ticked up, but less than thought, and not fast enough pace for the Fed to be worried. The IWM and the SPY had a nice recovery this week. Harvey was big in the news, and our hearts go out to all those being affected by the storm and the flooding. So lack of wage growth helped the market move up. The market feels that the Fed will not have to raise rates because of there's really no inflation on the horizon, and with the lack of wages rising quickly, the Fed odds of raising the rates are basically at the flat spot. It seems like investors see what's happening, but they're not panicking. Even with Korea, the market's made a nice bounce back. And for the week ahead, I think the market's going to be focused on tax reform talk and the debt ceiling debate. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few of the articles that came out this week. As we said, Friday's job miss could actually send stocks higher. As you know, we're in kind of that Goldilocks period where we're creating enough jobs, but there's no wage inflation. So let's see, let's keep our eye on that. But right now, the odds of the Fed raising rates is not low, but lower than it was. As far as North Korea is still in the news, claiming it successfully tested a hydrogen bomb. And then, of course, we have the flooding still going on in Harvey in Texas. So, like we said, our hearts go out to all those being affected by this terrible storm in Texas. So let's go ahead and we'll get right into the markets, and let's take a look at we'll start with the SPY. The SPY was up 1.34% this week, and you see we came down, tested the 20 SMA, but we bounced back and are up near all-time highs again, and you can see it on the daily chart. We have this 249 resistance spot. We had this candle that popped, and we pulled back from it around that 249, and as we edge up closer, we got this kind of indecision candle here, and I'll get this red line out of your way and you can see it clearer, but we are back above the 50. Nice recovery here on the SPY. So let's go ahead, we'll go through some of the markets first, and then we'll move on to some stocks and highlights. So if we take a look at the NASDAQ composite, this was the strongest market for the week. It was up 3% for the week. And then we had the Dow Jones 30, which reclaimed, that 21,900. Now the push to 22,000 again. Let's see if we can do that next week. We were up 0.80% on the Dow Jones 30. For the Qs themselves, because I like to look at the ETFs as far as the weekly goes, we're back above the 10 SMA, and like we said, we're threatening with these all-time highs at about 146.59. So 146.60 is a number to watch on the Qs if we can break out over that for the Qs. Next up, we're going to take a look at some of the gold sector. GDX, you see, broke out. We're up 6% on the GDX. GDXJ powering up. We're back above the 50 SMA on the GDX, and this is the weekly charts that you're looking at, and that was up 7% for the week. GLD itself, you see, broke out of this tight consolidation channel here, and that was up almost 3% for the week, and we'll take a look at it on a daily chart, and you see it's been climbing and riding the 5 EMA. We even had pullbacks to the 5 EMA each time. And we held, and we're powering up on the GLD. Once it got through this 123 spot, which was resistance a few times, then we got the nice move up on the GLD. HACK. This is the cybersecurity ETF, and this is back above the 50 SMA, and that's Palo Alto Networks had earnings on Thursday, and that gapped up. So maybe the cybersecurity stocks might be back in play, and we'll go through some of those later in the video. As far as the IBB itself, we had talked about, and this is the daily chart you're looking at. We said that if it held this 300, 305 area, which it did, and the 100 SMA, that was a good sign. And then we pushed up through the 50 SMA. Then after we got that buyout of Guild for Kite, we got a nice push up. And you see the IBB for the week was up 8%. So a very nice move there in the IBB. And that's like such names as Celgene, Amgen. All right, and then we have the XBI, and that was up close to 9% for the week. And you see the pullback to the 20 SMA on the weekly chart here, and we powered up off of that. And you know, that's such names as Juno, Blue, all pushing up. Blue up 34%, and Juno, whoops, JUNO. Also up about 36% on Juno. So very nice week for a couple of stocks there. As far as the OIH, you know, trying to hold above this 20 spot here on the OIH. We're at 2250. Back here we had hit it in I guess that was 2016 in January, and we came down. We were threatening that area. Now we're starting to recover a little bit on the OIH, and if we look at it on the daily chart, we're turning back above the 20 SMA, and we have not been above the 20 SMA for a while. I mean, it still has work to do, but you know, it is starting to turn back up. We're back above the 10 and back above the 5 EMA on the daily chart for the OIH. Next up, we'll take a look at the Robo. This is the automation ETF with NVIDIA in it and a couple of other major stocks. And that's powering up also. If we look at it on the weekly, we're up near all-time highs on this ROBO ETF. We came down, we held the 10 SMA, and we've never broken the 20 SMA on the weekly chart for ROBO. So nice move there. That was up over 2% for the week. Silver had a decent week, up 4% for the week. And as you can see, we're coming up to this resistance line here. It seems like it would need to get back over 17, then that 1760 area, 1750 area for silver. And we'll look at it on the daily chart, and you see that we're coming up to the 300 SMA, and we were stalled out there before on the daily chart here. And let's see if they can power it up through there and get through 17 on silver. All right, and for, like we said, for the week, silver was up close to 4%. Some of the steel names had some nice moves this week, and we'll go into that in the best and worst stocks of the week in a few moments. But silver for the week was, steel for the week was up 4%. And you see the nice move here in the steel ETF. Came down, held this 150, and powered up off of that. Now we have 44 to get through, and we'll see if they want to do that. SMH, obviously one of the leaders in this market, the semiconductors, coming up to this 90 spot again, and you see my red line here. We've been up here at 90 before, and now let's see if they can power it through and get through that 90 spot. Here it is on the weekly. You see we came down to the 20 quite a few times. We've held the 20 SMA on the weekly chart, and now we're powering up through it. And now let's see if we can get through this 90 resistance here on the SMH. As far as social, the internet ETF, the social media ETF, this is powering to new highs. And a nice move there. For the week, it was up 3%. And, you know, the big name in that one is Facebook. And we talked about Facebook, you know, holding this gap area and that 165, 166. And now it's broken out of this consolidation again with that number of 175 up ahead. So Facebook is really powering up the social ETF OCL. Okay, so that looks very strong. As far as the SPY itself, you know, we're back above the 50, back above the 20 on the weekly chart. We have this 249 spot that we hit once before, and I'm right on that candle right there. Back on August 11th, we hit the high of, we'll call it 248.91 was the high, but we'll call it 249. So let's see if we can get through this 249 on the SPY, or is that going to be a resistance spot? UNG recovered a little bit this week. It was up 5%. Still a lot of work to do. Here's the weekly chart of the UNG. If we look at it on the daily chart, though, it's a little more positive. On the daily chart, we're back above the 50 SMA. We are back above the 20 SMA, but we do have the 100 SMA coming up ahead for resistance, and you know that $7 area for UNG. USO, we'll look at it on the weekly chart first. You know, it was down about 0.82%, so we'll call it 1% down for the week on the USO. And you see this 925, we kind of threatened that. We didn't get, you know, all the way down to it, but we threatened that area, and then we recovered before we broke down that 925 spot on the USO. If we look at it on the daily chart, so basically we're just hanging around the 50 SMA right now on the USO and trying to get back above the 10 SMA. If we look at oil itself, light sweet crude, WTI, same thing, you know, holding above this 50, but we are above the 5 EMA, you know, has a lot of work to do to try to get back over the 20 SMA, and then the big number obviously is $50, and you see the tight range we're in on the WTI. We're about the middle of the range. If you use 55 and 43 were the lows, and we're about the middle of this area here, so you know, just consolidating. And so oil itself, the WTI for the week was down over 1%. Let's see, we'll go through some, I'll take a look at the VIX real fast, and we came up to 16. There was a low here down at 8.84. Now I don't know if we're going to retest that 8.84. I mean, we still have the North Korea news looming, you know, over the weekend. So, you know, we'll see what they want to do with the VIX, but we're down here at this 10 spot again. We can't, you know, couldn't get through the 16 and hold above the 16. So, you know, the fear gauge, let me bring that up for you actually, the fear and greed gauge, FEAR. And I'll slide that over for you. So here's the fear and greed. This is by CNN Money Fear and Greed Index, and currently, or right now, we're at neutral. All right, so this oscillator is right at 50. There's no extreme fear and no extreme greed, so we're right neutral in the middle. As far as some of the ETFs, take a look at the XLF, the banking ETF, the financial ETF. And we're trying to get back above that 20 SMA on the daily chart, but we couldn't get above it and hold above it. Also, the 50 SMA in the way. For the week, it was up, I'm sorry, down about, you know, fraction, not too bad. We are holding above the 20 SMA on the weekly chart for the XLF. And some of those names are JP Morgan and Citigroup and PAC. Out of the group, you know, Citigroup looks the best currently. Here's the daily chart of Citigroup, and let's look at JP Morgan. This one's trying to get back above the 20 SMA, and BAC also trying to get back above the 50 and the 20 SMA, just like the ETF. The dollar itself, you know, trying to consolidate now around this 24 spot on the UUP. As far as the dollar index, trying to hold this 92 area. For the week, it was up fractionally for the week. And you see we're here at the 200 SMA. And let's take a look also at the UUP. We're under the 200 SMA on the UUP. And you see all the fast-moving averages are angled down. So you'd want to see the dollar try to recover this 200 SMA area at least. And, you know, on the daily chart, try to get back above the 20 SMA and then maybe the 50 SMA on the UUP. I think that's about it for the markets. Let's see, did we look at the, we did look at the IYT. All right, let's see if we came on the daily, we came below the 200 SMA, we recovered nicely. We came up to this 50 SMA where you see we've had resistance before on the daily chart here. So we'll call it, watch this 170 spot on the IYT. As far as the weekly goes on the IYT, for the week, they were up almost 3% for the week and trying to get back above the 10 SMA on the IYT. JETS, which is the ETF for the airlines, trying to hold the 50 SMA on the weekly chart here. You know, that's such names as American Airlines, Delta Airlines, JetBlue, LUV. So you see that all these are kind of below their 50 SMA, and then UAL also, you know, below the 50 SMA on the weekly charts. So that's some of the airlines. The IYT we did, the ETF we did, Jets, IBB, like we said, broke out above resistance, and we'll see if we're going to get continuation in the IBB. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at some of the, you know, the major stocks, and we'll take a look at Apple, and you see on the weekly chart, Apple breaking out to new all-time highs on Apple. Amgen we looked at already, holding strong. If we look at the daily chart, needs to get back above this 180 spot on Amgen. Amazon on the weekly chart, let's get rid of this line for you. Trying to get back above the 10 SMA on the weekly chart. As far as the daily goes, trying to get back above the 50 SMA on Amazon. One of the semi names, AVGO, this one back above the 50 SMA, trying to get back above 255. Here's the weekly. For the week, it was up 3% AVGO, and you see the resistance here around that 260 level for AVGO. BABA, you know, had a kind of a quiet week. BABA for the week was down fractionally after that big move up after the earnings, but it is riding that 10 SMA and staying above the 10 SMA on the weekly chart. And as far as the daily goes on BABA, you know, that 175 can get back above that. That would be very bullish. BIIB, see the big move, and we had talked about this. If it broke out over that 295 level, which it did, and you got a nice pop in the BIIB, and that helped move the biotech names. Celgene, another nice move in the biotech names. CMG starting to turn back up, getting above the 20 SMA. So if you like to play these bigger names, you know, keep your eye on the CMG there. Costco recovered after their sales report out last week, and here's the weekly on Costco. So we're just going through some of the bigger names. Facebook we did, Google, we're holding above, you know, this trend line here on Google on the weekly chart, and we are back above the 10 SMA. Netflix was up for the week, and that was up 5% for the week on Netflix, so trying to get back above this 180 spot. But on the weekly chart, we held above the 20 SMA for Netflix. Nike not faring as well, down 1% for the week. Nvidia, strong week, up 4%, trying to break out up over this 170 spot again on Nvidia. Priceline, a little bit of recovery here at the 34 SMA on my weekly chart. And then on the daily chart, trying to get back above the 20 SMA for Priceline. Starbucks turning the corner a little bit, but as far as it goes, it's still below all the, you know, the fast-moving averages on the weekly chart. Schlumberger, not really much of a recovery yet. Tesla, still in this consolidation, needs to get back over 360. Here's the daily chart, and you can see a little more clearly if it gets back over 360. That would be good for the bulls. And just talk about quickly Valero, and this was one of the refiners that moved up, and I think for the week, yeah, this was up 2% for the week, and it needs to break out over this 70 spot. Just taking a look at that because of what's going on in Texas and Harvey. If we take a quick look at some of the names in the Dow, Boeing staying very strong, right? Boeing was in this flag pattern here. We broke out above it. Needs to get back above, that 245 level on Boeing. Caterpillar holding very strong, trying to take out highs here on Caterpillar and breaking out new all-time highs on the weekly. It was up almost 3% for the week on Caterpillar. Cisco was up about 3% for the week. Take a look at it on daily. And you see on the daily chart here, this 150 dotted line SMA, that 3250 spot. So that's the number to watch on Cisco. What else did I want to show you guys as far as, we'll look at Goldman Sachs, one of the Dow stocks, just in consolidation under the 150. Intel recovered off of the 400 SMA here. We bounced, held 3450, bounced a little bit. Now we're at some of the fast moving averages on the daily. Coca-Cola turning back up off the 50 SMA here for old stodgy Dow stock, and for the weekly chart we're holding above the 10 SMA. Microsoft, one we haven't looked at in a while. 75 spot is the spot to get through, but you see how the 50 has held on the daily chart. For the week, Microsoft was up about 1.54%, trying to get through, like we said, 75. Nike didn't have a good week, down 1%. And let's see, we'll look at stodgy old Verizon, up at all-time highs. I'm sorry, Visa, excuse me. Looking at Visa here, and that's up at all-time highs on Visa. And MasterCard, same thing, up at all-time highs. Now Verizon, I should say, Verizon. Verizon on the weekly chart, below the 200 SMA, and on the daily chart, just in consolidation. And we'll just look at an oil, ExxonMobil, trying to turn the corner here, at least above the 5 and the 10 SMA, but a daily chart with a lot of work to do. And lastly, let's look at Walmart, trying to hold this 50 SMA on Walmart. So that's some of the Dow stocks and some of the bigger stocks. Let me see if there was any others that I wanted to look at. We did the Google. We did some of the airlines for you. So I'll be back with best stocks for the week. So some of the best stocks for the week, we have a gold name, AU here, was up 13% for the week. AG was up 10% for the week. GILD, after their buyout of Kite, was up 14% for the week. Amgen up 5% for the week. Celgene up 7% for the week. JUNO up 36% for the week. US Steel, nice move this week, up 8% for the week. AKS up 8% for the week. HIMX recovered nicely and up 21% for the week on HIMX. OSTK was up 20% for the week. YNDX up 8% for the week. DO was up 6% for the week. KERX up 9% for the week. SHOP just keeps powering up 7% for the week. BGNE, and BGNE was up 9% for the week on BGNE, a biotech name. PYDS was a big winner this week. That was up over 43% for the week. Mankind, that name was up 21% for the week on Mankind. WIN was up 7% for the week on WIN. CVNA, this stock, a recent IPO, was up 17% for the week on CVNA. SGMO was up 33% for the week. BLUE up 34%. ABEO up 52%. MOV on their earnings beat was up 17% for the week. HOME was up 15% for the week. PANW After their earnings, they were up 14% for the week and maybe lighting a fire under some of the cybersecurity names, and HACK, the cybersecurity ETF. CRY, this stock was up 13% for the week, and URI was also up, we'll call it 12% for the week on URI. United Rentals. So that's some of your best stocks for the week. I'll be right back with some of your worst stocks for the week. So some of your worst stocks for the week, we'll start out with Best Buy, and that stock was down 12% for the week. Saying more competition out there for Best Buy, so that stock, they didn't like that news, and they dropped the stock down 12% for the week. Dollar General, this one got slammed down 7% for the week, but you see on the weekly we got pushed down to this 200 SMA and recovered again on DG, so let's see if they're going to hold that 200 SMA for Dollar General. CIEN was down 8% for the week. UAA took a dive, another 5% for this week on Under Armour. SAVE down 5% for the week. An airline. HIIQ down 11% for the week, and that one was probably due for a little bit of a pullback. You see it's been riding strong and riding that 10 SMA, and we did pull back to this 10 SMA area on HIIQ, but that was down 8% for the week. I'm sorry, 11% for the week. CDZI down 14% for the week. AMBA, after their earnings, this stock took a hit, down 20% for the week. As far as OTIC, a biotech nightmare, got crushed, down 82% for the week. Hope nobody was in that one. STDY minus 38% for the week. RTNB, this name was down 43% for the week. Dries keeps making our worst of the week list, down 26% on DRYS. TITN, stock was down 23%. BNED, it's just not recovering. Specialty retail book sector, and that was down 21% for the week. FRTA down 27% for the week. CBB, Campbell Soup, after they came out with earnings, that stock was down 12% for the week. FINL down another 17% for the week. HRB, H&R Block was down 10% for the week. So that's some of your worst stocks for the week. And HRB, after their earnings, was down 10% for the week. Okay, so let's go ahead and get ready for the next week. And as you know, the markets are closed Monday, September 4th. That's a Labor Day holiday in the United States and Canada. So U.S. markets are closed this Monday, September 4th. For the week ahead, for economic information, not too much going on. Factory orders at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. We do have some Fed speak at 1:10 p.m. Neil Kashkari. And then at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, we have Robert Kaplan speaking at 7 p.m. Mortgage applications at 7 o'clock. PMI services at 9:45. ISM non-manufacturing index at 10 a.m. Beige Book Wednesday the 6th at 2 p.m. As far as Thursday goes, you're going to have both the EIA petroleum nat gas report at 10:30. All right, and that's right here. And then you're going to have oil numbers come out at 11 a.m. due to the holiday, so they make it come out at 11 a.m. on Thursday the 7th. Jobless claims at 8:30. And let's see if there's any other, Any other Fed speak? Yeah, at 7 p.m. we have a couple of Fed speakers, and then at 8 p.m. on Thursday. So a lot of Fed speak in the evening on Thursday. And then Friday, let's see, we have more Fed speak at 8:45 a.m. and then the Baker Hughes rig count coming out at 1 o'clock. So just remember that for this week of the holiday that the oil numbers will be coming out at 11 a.m. on Thursday, September 7th, and the nat gas numbers will be out before that at 10:30 a.m. for the nat gas. As far as some of your earnings coming out, and we'll go ahead and open this up a little bit more for you. So there's obviously no earnings on Monday, but for Tuesday, September 5th, we have actually, before the bell, we have NSCC. We have, I have listed here, we have a Fizz, National Beverage, will be coming out September 5th during market hours, so F-I-Z-Z-Z-Z. After hours on Tuesday, we have HOME, CASY, COUP, Dave & Buster, PLAY. Let's see, and HPE, Hewlett Packard Enterprises. For Wednesday, we have FRAN, Fred, FRED, GIII, GMS, HDS, JKS, and this is before the bell. After the bell, we have GWRE, Guidewire, EGAN, SKIS, VRNT. Thursday, before the bell, Barnes & Noble, BKS, CVGW, Cons, which is a retailer, CONN, Fuel Cell Energy, FCEL, Hovnanian, which is HOV, which is a home builder, coming out Thursday before the bell. As far as after the bell, American Outdoor Brands, AOBC. Let's see, and anything else? Finisar, FNSR, TLRD, and this is Thursday after the bell. So not too many big names, but this retailer, CONS. And then for Friday, I show Kroger coming out with earnings, EROS and ARCW. For Thursday, also ZUMZ, Zoomies, and American Outdoor will be reporting. That's Thursday. But Friday, the big one is Kroger. So that's your earnings. A little bit light on earnings. We have Solar Play here. Let's see, Navistar, that's trucking, engines, I believe. And I think that's about it for your earnings. Guidewire, like I mentioned. Oh, Restoration Hardware after the close on Wednesday. So there's some of your earnings. As far as the conference calls, starting Tuesday, September 5th, you can see some of your conference calls, and this is provided by Earnings Cast. If we look at Wednesday, Fred's will be having earnings, Navistar at 9 o'clock. And let's see if there's anything else. RH, Restoration Hardware, after the bell on Wednesday. And then more conference calls still coming out. And then Friday, probably no conference calls. Oh, a couple of conference calls. Kroger will be at 10 o'clock, and that's your conference calls. So since I'm doing this video on a Sunday morning, normally I do it on a Saturday, but since we had issues with TC2000 with them doing maintenance on their service, I'm doing this video on a Sunday morning. And Donald Trump has just come out with some comments. As we mentioned in the beginning of the video, North Korea claimed it has successfully tested a hydrogen bomb. And then Donald Trump came out with some comments out on Twitter. North Korea has conducted a major nuclear test. Their words and actions continue to be very hostile and dangerous to the United States. North Korea is a rogue nation which has become a great threat and embarrassment to China, which is trying to help but with little success. Donald Trump continues to go out and say South Korea is finding, as I have told them, that their talk of appeasement with North Korea will not work. They only understand one thing. And then CNBC picked up on Donald Trump's comments. In response to the nuclear test, Trump says North Korea is very hostile and dangerous. Talk of appeasement won't work. And that was from a tweet from CNBC. So as you can see, we still have the North Korea news heating up. And so we'll see how the futures are going to open up, Monday night with this Politico commentary going on. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. Like I said, normally I do this Let's Get Ready for the Week Ahead on Saturday, so we wouldn't have had that till later anyway. But since it was just coming out, I thought I would share that with you. So this has been Let's Get Ready for the Week Ahead by Zozo Stockwatch, and now you're more ready for the week ahead than you were before. I will have a Stocks to Watch video coming out either this evening, Sunday, or for Monday. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being a part of my YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. Hit the like button if you like the videos. I feel like I'm trying to educate and give you good information. And you are more caught up and ready for the week ahead than you were before. Have a great week trading, and look for my Stocks to Watch video. That will be out later, either Sunday or Monday. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for the support on YouTube. And once again, to the people in Texas, my heartfelt prayers go out to you and your families. Please, everybody, contribute something for the folks there in Texas that are going through those devastating floods. Nobody should have to go through that. Imagine if your home and all your possessions were gone in one day. So please, give to the folks in Texas that are trying to survive this horrific storm, Harvey. Thank you so much for listening, and thanks again for the support of the YouTube channel.